Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the market close. Welcome to this week. And what a week it has been. Oh boy. This is our first stream of March. And I have nicknamed March as March Madness. So we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot this month. We have everything from, of course, tariffs dropping on Tuesday. Today we got crypto exploding thanks to a certain somebody making a post on Truth Social. So we got tons of stuff. We got tons of stuff to cover for sure. Up there in the corner, we did not hit the swag meter in February, so we've got it up here. We got it reset. We're ready to go. If we do get 25 supers through the course of this month, then we're gonna do a swag giveaway at the end of the month. This is also the first Sunday of the month. That means that if you want the subscriber sponsored video, it is available for today. So if you do want it, it is a $20 super, and you basically tell me what you want in that super for your video, whether it be a deep dive, maybe you want a list video, whatever it is. I'm good. I'm good with everything. I'm good with everything. The only stipulation on that is do not make it a penny stock or a brand new stock. So because I need to have data. I did get somebody in the past did hit me with a penny stock and a brand new stock, both the same. And yeah, that was pretty hard. That was pretty hard for sure. Anyway, that is available. If somebody wants that, you got it. We'll do that video roughly around the middle of the month. All right, let's another thing that we have started doing as well is I am basically doing a short. We look for a moment in each live stream, and we're pumping it up as a short, just as something. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. So we did it the last two market closes. We're going to do it for this one to do today as well. So we got that coming as well. Now, with all that being said, let's actually let's check in on the chat, because you guys are already here and you guys are already throwing the stuff at me. Jonathan in first. Am I late for World War III? No. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, you're not late. We'll all get to experience that soon enough, probably, the way things have been going. And I will point out that comment, when I read it as I was getting the stream together, it did make me laugh. It was like, I was like, yeah, a little bit of tears coming out of the eyes. It was funny. It was funny for sure. We got Max in the house. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope the weekend is going well. I hope so too. We've got Bismarcky. Good afternoon, everyone. Holy crypto, Batman. Yes. So right now, let me just take a gander there. Ethereum. I'll just mention Ethereum. Ethereum is up 13.58% because of that tweet, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, so don't worry, that's coming. Jersky is in the house with a good afternoon. A hello, good afternoon. And we got Prairie Investor. Good afternoon, Candace and community. Happy Sunday to everyone. Your Dammits is here. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all warmer than we are here in Montreal. Yes. This morning, the wind chill here in Ottawa was minus 31. Minus 30. I don't recall any time the entire winter having a wind chill that low. We've gotten to like 28, maybe 29, but I don't think we actually broke into the negative 30s. So might be the coldest day of the winter, and it's March. March Madness. What am I? It's everything. It's Trump. It's tariffs. It's Bitcoin. It's crypto. It's the banana bread weather. It's all coming. It's all coming for us. King of Day is in the house with a hello, y'all. And we got Paul in here with a hello. And Stan is saying good afternoon, all. Bleak is in the house with a hey, all. We got J-Day with a howdy, all. StreamYard link. No StreamYard link. Ask me after the news. Lisa says, hi, everyone. Mario says, good afternoon, everyone. And Patricia's listening. Awesome. We got a Terry Crow in here. Hi, all. Great to rub elbows with the best. Nice, nice. Yes, we're all in here rubbing our elbows. Ian says, can't stay and watch. I'm at Carnival in Baranakawila. I know I mispronounced that. Have fun at the carnival, though. I think they're probably much more interesting down there than they are up here. Tingaday says, loaded up on XRP and SOL last week when it was down decently. Thank you, Trump. Nice move, Kingaday. Nice move. So, oh, heck, you know what? It's in the crypto corner. Let's do the crypto corner right now. Let's just get the crypto corner out of the way because we do have everybody's talking about it. So instead of waiting to the very end, let's just jump right away to that crypto corner. All right, guys. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. So we actually had a post on Truth Social from Donald, and basically he has announced that the executive order he had done before in regards to crypto, well, he said the intention of that was to set up, of course, the U.S. Strategic Reserve. And he got a little more specific in this tweet. He basically said that they are going to be loading up on XRP, Solana, Cardano, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. So as a result, well, heck, just give me a second here. I'm going to just pull this off for the moment. I'm just going to jump over here and show you guys. All right. Whoops. I better we'll grab this one here and give me 1 second, guys. I was in doing the bank stuff, because the bank is what we're doing. But all right, let's go to, here's Ethereum. All right, let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, we have technical difficulties. I'm just going to refresh this. Here we go. And let's pull this back out again. That's the TSX guy. Don't worry. I want to show you guys. All right, so here's Bitcoin. Here's that tweet. Nice big series of candles. Thanks to the tweet. I guess we just call it a post. And Ethereum, same thing. Nice big candles. So yeah, not too shabby at all. One more thing in the crypto corner, though, guys. I'll pull this back down, and let's get our little crypto guy back up, and I'll shift me down to the bottom so there's a bit more room. So one other little bit of tidbit in there is about roughly 9 days ago, Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, said they were going to take a pause from buying Bitcoins. They're going to take a pause. Well, that pause didn't last very long because they, guys, they just spent another $2 billion on Bitcoin. That takes their balance sheet up to 499,096 Bitcoin. They basically own 2.3% of the total supply. Now, when Strategy does this, that does tend to have a little bit of an impact on the price of Bitcoin. So this is a very good day if you are a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Solana investor. So yeah, there's nothing too shabby about that at all. All right. So there we go. Since everybody's talking about it, we got the crypto corner out of the way. Our two little stories on that. Yeah. All right. Let's get back to the chat. We got Roku in the house with a happy Sunday. Jordan's in here with a hello there, Candace, and we got a good afternoon all from Vaughn and King of Day saying plus 13 here in Calgary. It's amazingly gorgeous. Yes, I think you guys have had almost like a week of warm temperatures. I'm going to assume that it's a Chinook that's blowing in, but nothing wrong with 13 degrees. We're on the other side of that. We're nice and cold for sure. Paul said, In the fourth quarter, several prominent hedge fund managers sold NVIDIA and bought the iShares Bitcoin Trust, an exchange traded fund issued by BlackRock. And that is, I don't know who said that, Paul. Was that said by Yahoo Finance? Okay, cool, interesting. Verena is in the house with a hi guys. And crypto, wow, yeah, absolutely. Crypto absolutely exploding. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it for sure. And Paul's saying, how much will strategy trade for in 4 hours on Robinhood? Good question. Good question. So, tomorrow, obviously, with the markets open, if you're holding any of, if you're holding ETFs or if you're holding strategy, you're probably going to be looking at some nice bumps first thing in the morning, and that's going to be interesting because then on Friday, oh boy, we know what's going to happen. Sorry, Friday. On Tuesday. Tuesday is tariff day, and we got lots of news on the tariffs as well. Just a spoiler alert. We may not get 25% across the board, but we may. It's very vague. We'll talk about all of that as we, of course, move along. And Bismarcky, this here is something. This is something I was thinking about earlier too. No Dogecoin in the strategic fund. And I see no SHIB, but the Dogecoin I thought was interesting. I'm like, it's like Elon's going to be going, come on, put the Doge in there. But no Dogecoin in the strategic fund, at least as of yet. The nice thing about a strategic fund, though, is you can add coins later. So you could add Dogecoin after you get it going if you really want to, or any other newer coins that you want. So we'll have to see. I mean, for the most part, the 5 coins that they did pick, I mean, they are, I think they're a good pick. I will go out and I will say, yeah, that's not a bad pick. There's other coins I'd love to see in there, but I think the 5 that they're starting with, fantastic. I think they're great. All right, we got Rory in the house with a afternoon, everyone. Awesome. Good to see you, Rory. So it's absolutely going to be really, 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 really interesting. That's the way I'm going to put it. It will definitely be interesting for sure. Let's see here. Let's see. Annette says, can you shed some light on Chorus Aviation? Why did it consolidate? I don't know. I absolutely have no clue on that one. But whenever I run into a question that I don't know, I, of course, do a quick little screenshot of it because I will do some research on that. So I will bring that answer with me next week because I'll have a little bit of better idea. Now, of course, I said that. There's also, oh gosh, we'll try something here. All right, let's remove that again. We're gonna bring back our thing. Let me. All right, come on. All right. Whoops. Oh, it helps if it actually types. All right, CHO. RUS course aviation right down here. There we go. I'm going to pull this up just because sometimes I find, and this is one of the things I like with TradingView is, and I'm going to pull this up here. You will get some news. Like this little thing here is telling me that there is some news information here. So I can pull this up and I can sort of see if there's anything here that gives us an answer right away. Let's see. The price target raised to buy and hold by TC. Okay, raised. Let's go with a bit more. Let's pull it up here on the side. We'll pull this down a little bit. To benefit from budding Voyager business. Okay. So we get a little bit of news here. Not getting a quick answer though. Let's see, which equates to near, forward cash flow yield based on the current share price. Okay, stuff on the current cash flow. There we go. I'm having trouble speaking today, I guess. Let's see, with shareholder value generation. Yeah. I'll have to look a little bit deeper into that one because I don't it's not giving me a clear answer. But a lot of times I will get an answer just by looking over here. So I'll need to do a little bit more digging, a little bit more digging on that one. All right. All right. We'll pull up our first news story of the day and just have to put me back down in the bottom. All right. All right. So our GDP, we had our Q4 GDP released on Friday, and it actually was not bad. Our annual GDP, it came in at 2.6%. Now they were only forecasting 1.8%. If you guys remember, Q3 came in at 2.2%. So our GDP is actually doing pretty darn good. So for that simple reason, even worst case scenario with these tariffs, we're still looking at, we still need two negative GDPs to get into a technical recession. So a recession probably can't happen until about the fall at the very least. Now, the other interesting thing too is if you guys notice, I mentioned that the previous GDP was at 2.2. And if you've been following this channel, the last time we did this, and you remember, you're like, wait a minute, Candace, that was at 1. It was at 1%. That's because it got revised. They revised it up to 2.2%. Now, in that report, we also found out that household spending rose 1.4%. That's significant because it is the fastest pace for household spending in basically about 2 years. So that's not too shabby. There was also a lot of growth from purchases of new trucks, vans, and sports utility vehicles. So people are buying cars. Particularly trucks and vans, particularly in more particular. Retail also, of course, saw a 2.6% growth, but December, we had not only December, we also had that GST holiday. So some people didn't buy stuff that they were going to buy in November, pushed it to December so that they could get that holiday. So that might have helped that as well. Residential construction also saw a little bit of a bump, which is kind of nice. Now, and this is something we're always talking about. We're always talking about what is really the GDP? Should we really be looking at the GDP, or should we be looking at that real GDP per capita? Well, we do have some good news on that front. It actually rose by 0.2% in December. Now, keep in mind, it's had a rough time. So it has actually shrank in 5 of the last 7 quarters. So it's nice to see it grow in December, and it is actually anticipated to grow by roughly another 0.3% in January. But mind you, we got tariffs coming, and tariffs could be they could be the party pooper for all of this. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's the way I'm going to call it. I'm going to say it's going to be very, very interesting as we move along. Wayne says, what is the Doge Fund? Trump's personal bank account? So yeah, the Doge Fund, and this is kind of an interesting thing. So one of the things that the Doge team is saying is that of all of the money that they're saving, the government, they're looking at actually taking a part of it, and they're calling it the Doge dividend and giving it back to the American taxpayers. So we'll have to see how that all works. Now, mind you, they need to make sure they got their math right, because I know that there's been some controversy in the last couple of weeks about some of the values that they've been reporting. So, I don't have access to the math, so I'll leave it be, but make sure you get your math right. And then, and to me, this does make sense. If you are tariffing things like crazy, all of those tariffs, all of the taxpayers, all of the consumers in the United States, they're paying those tariffs. So they're paying more for a lot of stuff. So all of that money shouldn't just go straight to the government. Absolutely, a percentage of it should certainly go back to the people. And I think with that fund, they're calling it the Doge Fund, I guess, a certain percentage is going to go back to the taxpayers, to the consumers. A certain amount's going to go towards paying off the debt. And and I guess the rest will probably go towards all of the crazy promises that are floating around out there. So we'll have to see how that's all going to roll out. And it's going to be an interesting ride. It's going to be an interesting ride for sure. Rory says, I see natural gas is on the move higher. Nice. Gotta love that. You gotta love that. I'm just taking a peek over there, see what's going on with WTI is currently still down today, 0.26% down. Roy says, it's come down a bit in the last few days, though. Absolutely. All right. Patricia says, I have a small position of XRP. Stop buying in 2023. Hopefully in the future, we'll go to the new high. Yeah. I know some people like those of you who've been around for a while, you guys probably know who the dancers are. I think they have a pretty good XRP position. So they're probably very happy today. AA says, I just hope and pray tariffs are not imposed. People from both sides will suffer more or less. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have a feeling, I have a feeling the tariffs will be coming in one way or another. Now, one of the things, and I guess this is coming up in the news a little bit when we get to the trade war section. But there has been hints that we may not see a full 25%. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit for sure. Wayne says, let's see, they should call it the Doge Fund. The money will go to the 1%. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, we're going to have to see how this is all going to roll out. That's kind of the fun thing. All right. King of Day says, Candace, your thoughts. Move RESP to Questrade from TD or just wait a while for Wealthsimple to offer self-direct. The entire household is with Wealthsimple, easy management. Thanks. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you, here's the thing. Let's say if you want to move it to Questrade and your goal is to eventually move it back to Wealthsimple, I probably would leave it in TD then, unless you're doing a lot. I mean, if you're doing a lot of trading and you're really getting hit with the with your commission fees, then maybe. But I'll tell you, I mean, my experience with Questrade so far hasn't been great because I still don't have access to my account. It'll be 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. 2 weeks tomorrow to get me set up. Now, I don't think I'm the typical example. Like I know a lot of people have gotten through a lot faster, but I'm still in that. I'm still in that holding position with them. Tom says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tom. And just going back to King of Day again. It'd be good. I mean, it would be really good if you had the sort of a bit of a timeline on how soon that will happen for Wealthsimple. But I have a feeling now that Questrade is starting to create a bit more competition for them, I have a feeling that a lot of their plans to improve their overall service on the Wealthsimple side, I imagine they're going to get accelerated because, you have to. Because if you have Questrade, who now has zero commissions, and they're offering and giving you that the ability to do an RESP, for example, then Wealthsimple has to get on it. They have to get on it for sure. Michael says, hello, Candace. Did you see the nice recent bounce in Extendicare? Oh, yes. Yes, I did. Extendicare, so ticker EXE. Yeah, they absolutely exploded. We looked at them over the last couple of market closes. We looked at them, and we'll look at them again a little bit later this afternoon too, because I loved what I saw with EXE for sure. Let's see, good quarterly results and a dividend increase. Yeah, and that's that's always a good thing for sure. My arrangements says a Litecoin might become the poor man's Bitcoin. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I like Litecoin. I mean, although it's just it doesn't get a lot of love. It doesn't get a lot of love at all. I think a former guest that we've had on the show here, Nate Palmetier, I think he liked Litecoin quite a bit. So yeah. And Tom says, how's C&Q looking to you these days? I love C&Q. As long as they are down, and they're down right now. Like I think right now they're the second worst performer in the challenge. I'm loving it. I'm loving it because they're going to be fine. And once especially like once we stabilize in these tariffs. So let's say we do get that 10% energy tariff. That's fine. Once we stabilize, I think they'll recover even during the tariffs. So I have a lot of faith in CNQ, and the longer they're down, the more I'll add because I really do like that company. All right. AA says I have an account both in TD and Questrade. TD has better research tools. That's all about it. Yeah. And that's the thing too. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of you kind of have to, and this is the way I look at it. Research tools for me, it's not a break it, make it or break it. Usually the speed or the ease of use of the interface tends to be more important. Because there's lots of research tools out there. Like for example, as you guys know, like I use Trading View and a few other things like that. Um, they're all fine. They're all fine and dandy. So I think, yeah, I have a feeling, yeah, it'll be interesting. Look, I do know, and this is the thing. I'm kind of arguing here. Well, not arguing. I'm kind of talking here from not having yet gained full access to Questrade. So I have to take a look at that. All right. And Joshua wants to know, are you still bullish on HPS and HMM.A? So Hammond Power Solutions and Hammond Manufacturing. Yes, I definitely am. Now, with that being said, there could be a little bit of pain for them when it comes to these tariffs. But I think long term, these are still both really good companies. A lot of the business, like Hammond Power Solutions, they're getting a lot of business from India, with India's economy being being the fastest growing in the world. One of the big key things that the Indian government is doing is they're putting a lot of emphasis on infrastructure and building. And HPS, so Hammond Power Solutions, they're in the thick of it. And at this point right now, they have more customers than they can service, which is a great place to be. So yeah, no, I am bullish on both of them. And if they stay down, I'll definitely add some more. Like HMM.A probably will feel the impacts of the tariffs a little bit more than HPS, but I still think I think they're a really good company. I love their fundamentals. I think they're both going to be fine. So yes, I am definitely bullish on both of them. And I have HMM.A, by the way, in the challenge. I've got no intention of selling. None. Zero. Tom says, yeah, they are awesome. I'm looking at increasing CNQ before the ex-dividend date on the 6th. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Rory says, I own CNQ also. I just added 2 weeks ago. Nice. And Tom says, if I could too, I want to plug my copper junior mining company, Canada's Copper Inc. CC. I think that's an I, CCI. Simon is a great young CEO, and the company has made some very cost-efficient acquisitions. Nice. And, I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of really good small mining companies, whether it be copper, whether it be gold, whether it be lithium. We have so many resources here. And if the government, and it looks this way, the governments are getting to the point where it's like, we need to start, doing a lot of our own processing, removing a lot of the red tape for starting up mining and things like that. If that moves forward, I think there's going to be a big boom in that whole sector. So I am absolutely, and speaking of minerals, I mean, since you brought up minerals, let's go to our next news story. It's a mineral story. So Chemico, they have warned that, and guys, if you remember, we're getting a 10% a tariff on energy. That's not just oil. That is uranium as well. So uranium will only get that 10% tariff. So they have warned that that 10% tariff on energy will actually result in an almost 10% increase in the price of uranium from the non-tariffed countries. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. So and basically it boils down to this, right? If the main suppliers of uranium are being hit with a 10% tariff, if you're one of these other companies or other countries, well, why aren't you going to increase the cost of uranium? You just wouldn't go the full 10%. Maybe you'll knock it up 9%. So you just sort of keep yourself just under that that tariffed price. But that that is something that we see. And if you, at one point, the US, and this is kind of an interesting story, the US had put tariffs on some of these foreign washing machines. And what was really interesting is the non-foreign washing machines, they raised their prices because all of a sudden their main competitor, who was tariffed, had to charge more. So they could charge more. And then dryers, they all of a sudden went up in price because when people buy washing machines, they usually buy dryers. It's usually almost a set deal. So tariffs, they increase prices, not just what's getting tariffed, but a lot of other items as well. Now, one of the interesting things here is, and we're still in this here story. I guess I went off on a tiny tangent there, but utilities today, between now and 2040, they have to buy a lot of uranium. We're talking about 2.1 billion pounds of uranium, and this is just to keep all of the nuclear power plants that are in operation running. So that's a very conservative estimate, because obviously all of the new plants not included in these numbers, not included at all. So according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Canada has the largest source of American uranium deliveries in 2023. So apparently we have supplied the U.S. 27% of their uranium needs. Australia and Kazakhstan, they also provided a good chunk, 22% each. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big. Now, uranium spot prices, they have actually slipped about 40% from the highs of last year. So last year we were just above $100 US per pound. And analysts are expecting that persistent supply challenges and rising global nuclear commitments are going to bring us back up there again. So prices of uranium are set to go up. All of the, despite the tariffs, holy banana bread. Those friggin' tariffs. And we have Mary in the house. And I love this. Rory just saw Mary and it's like, oh, hit the like button. Yeah, Mary is our custodian of the like button. So while you guys are hitting the like button, I'm going to have some coffee. So, because you guys are busy. You guys are too busy hitting buttons right now. So that's all that fun stuff. Oh, gosh, so good. So good. But, yeah. All right, let's get into the trade war. It's time. Let's and you guys know it's time to talk trade. It's time to talk trade for sure. So, all right, we've got a few stories within the trade war section. So, of course, Donald Trump has affirmed, he's been doing this through the week, that 25% across the board and the 10% tariff on energy is going to be going ahead on March 4th. Now, the 25% may not be carved in stone, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Now, he is still claiming that fentanyl is still flowing across the Canadian and Mexican borders. Interesting, though, despite these claims, data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection released earlier this month have shown that there has been a significant decrease in fentanyl seizures coming from Canada. So in January, they recorded a 97% drop in the number of seizures at the Canadian border. So that's pretty darn good. That, it really is. Now, Trump has also reaffirmed that he's got the reciprocal tariffs. Those will be coming in April. And we are expected. So Canada is expected to see some additional tariffs. Basically, part of it will be retaliation for the DST, so the digital service tax. And also, he's not very happy with our dairy and poultry exports. So we could see additional tariffs hitting dairy and poultry. Now, Trudeau, of course, has come out. I laugh now because he's like, what? He's a week away from being gone. So he has vowed an immediate and strong response with an initial 150 million in levies on American goods. Now, Trump also did indicate that there was 25% tariffs that are on the table for the EU. So he just hasn't given a time frame yet on those. Now, here's the late news. And I was kind of mentioning that we may not get 25%. So the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, so Howard Lutnick, he says the tariffs on Canada and Mexico are going into effect on Tuesday, which we already know. But he says there is some question as to whether or not they will be 25% as originally planned. And the reason for that is that apparently Donald is pleased with some of the progress that both Mexico and Canada has made at the border. So there is the possibility he might give us some credit. He might give us a little bit of credit for some of the work at the border, and maybe that 25 will become a 15. It's hard to say. We really won't know until Tuesday, and honestly, we probably won't know until like end of day Tuesday. He will drag it out. Absolutely. So what can we say? Friggin' tariff war. Now the whole Buy Canada movement. So roughly, so some stats have come out that about 85% of Canadians are currently choosing to buy Canadian products instead of US ones. And this is definitely set to have a little bit of an impact on the US for sure. Now, currently, Canada is the number one purchaser of US goods. So in 2024, and get this, Canadians bought 348 billion in US goods. Now we're at a point where we're just choosing not to buy. And here's the thing, even on the other side of the tariffs, there's going to be a lot of Canadians who are just like, nah, you know what? You guys stomped on our relationship. We're going to continue buying Canadian. So this could have a long range impact on the US. So, you brought it on. You brought it on, on Donald. You shouldn't, you don't hit, you should never have even brought tariffs up. We're your friends. We're your friends. Treat us better. Treat us better. That's what I say. All right. Now, when it comes to our last little bit in the trade war this time that we're featuring is, of course, we had an election in Ontario. And the slogan for the Conservative Party was Protect Ontario. So Doug Ford came in and he won a third term as the Ontario Premier. And he did call the election a year early, so he didn't have to have it. He had a majority. And the party certainly, they certainly criticized him for that. But he said he wanted that. He wanted a stronger mandate. Well, he did get a slightly stronger, not by much. He won 80 seats. So he's got his mandate to fight Trump, and he will be in longer than Trump because, 4 years for Doug, and so he will at least outlast Trump a little bit here. So we'll have to sort of see how that works. Now, mind you, Trump has been sort of hinting at the possibility of a third term. So I've heard a lot of different theory crafters on ways he could get a third term. And who knows at this point, everything that seems ludicrous, that shouldn't be able to happen, he finds a way to make them happen. So what can I say? What can I say? King of Day says, do we have the Zelensky debacle in the news? I didn't put it in the news. We actually covered it on the market close. So on the market close, we watched it. We watched it live on the. It was absolutely crazy, and now we've got a point where, NATO is basically telling Zelensky he's got to find a way to make it right with with Trump. And European leaders have been kind of banding together to sort of say, no, we're going to help Ukraine through this. So it's getting messy. Absolutely messy. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure where this is going. In that debacle, I mean, Trump kept saying, you're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And it's a mess. It is absolutely a mess. And in a way, Putin he's kind of sitting back going, well, the U.S. is kind of giving me the go-ahead to be a little bit more aggressive with this. So, it could get messy. Peace, it's not as close as we thought. It's not even remotely as close as we thought. Here's another kind of scary thing. All right, this is going worst case scenario, but now if you think about it, if the US has completely washed their hands of what's happening to Ukraine, do you think that Putin could use a couple of little tiny tactical nukes? I hope, I hope he doesn't do it, but he's kind of got to go ahead to be yeah, it's going to get worse there, I think. Unless Zelensky, yeah, eats some crow, apologizes, and tries to make it right. Maybe Ukraine might have to change leadership just to get somebody in that can get along with Trump. I don't know what's going to happen there, so we're going to have to see. It's going to be interesting, for sure. It'll be interesting. That's uh, it's funny. That event should have happened in March because March Madness, March Madness. Muddy Water says, Candace, thank you for your recent discussions regarding recession proofing ETFs. I am doing research on several ETFs that you explored. Nice, nice. RD says, good Sunday banana bread, people. Tom says, I know the States doesn't want to be the world police anymore, but my God, it was like watching a car accident. Yeah, it was, and it wasn't, that type of thing should never have happened. Like, really, really, really should never have happened at all. Solar says, I'm sick of the ill-tempered garden gnome. Oh boy. Aurora says, let's see, the similarities from this and the movie The Day After is a bit alarming. So yeah, the Day After. So that was it was a big budget movie in the 80s. So, and it was all about a nuclear war, obviously. And it was kind of one of the biggest budgeted TV movies of all time at that point. And I remember when it did air, they had commercials in the first half, but the second half was completely commercial free. And yeah, it was one of them movies that it was like a big movie event, but it is very realistic. And I think in that movie, the Russians actually did use some tactical nukes in it. If I remember correctly on the battlefront, but I think they actually used it on American troops, or was it the Americans that used it on them? It's been like a long time since I've seen that movie, but yeah, we don't want to go down that road if we can help it. That's for sure. AA says, if the U.S. backs off, Putin doesn't need to use a nuke. EU just not in the position to support Zelensky for long. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for, AA. Like I said, that was to me the idea of using a tactical nuke in there. Absolutely worst case scenario. I don't want to see it happen under any circumstances at all. Oh boy. All right. All right. Moving to our news from the Hill. We of course had the Liberal leadership debate, and there was a few interesting things. For the most part, I don't know, it was pretty boring. It wasn't. I don't even know if I'd call it a debate, but some of the key points I noticed is that Carney was doing a song and dance to the best of his ability to try to distance himself from Trudeau. That makes sense. I would want to do that too, because Trudeau is so disliked that if you want to win some votes, you don't want Trudeau in your corner at all. And it's actually funny, in the Liberal in the provincial election that we had here in Ontario. What I noticed in a couple of the Liberal commercials that that Bonnie here, she was she included Trudeau in it, and I was like, oh my God, that's the kiss of death. Don't do that, but she did. Yeah, it was bad, and she lost her seat. So what can we say? But yeah, so Carney basically said that he is, he's one of the only candidates that's not in the Trudeau government, and that he is not a politician. Well, why are you running to be a politician if you're not one? But anyway, Gould, she was taking a lot of stabs at Carney, so she was probably the closest one to actually debating. So, she was calling him for some of his trade negotiations, all of that fun stuff. and also was trying to call him on his timeline for boosting NATO, all of that fun stuff. Overall, they all did take at least a few swings at Polyev, but most of the talk was, of course, towards Trump, and they did talk a little bit about carbon, some of the carbon tax changes. I think Gould is the only one who said she'd leave the carbon tax in, but wouldn't increase it. So yeah, interesting. Now, poll-wise, guys, I mentioned I'd bring some poll numbers with us this week. So the latest, some of the latest polls have, and this is kind of interesting. So currently, the latest polls have the Conservatives at 37%. So they're actually down 1.6% overall, and the Liberals have made some gains. They're sitting at 33%, up 3.4%. NDP at 14%, down a percent. Bloc sitting at 8%. Sorry, the NDP are at 16%. Bloc are at 8%. Green at 4%. And the People's Party, that's that brand new one, they're sitting at 2%. So here's what's really interesting, though, is when you translate these into seats, oh boy, the Conservatives are coming in around 171 seats. That's one shy of a majority. Now, mind you, Pierre has started retooling his message, and he is going a lot more towards Trump now. So that should help them regain a little bit of their support and get them back into majority territory. But yeah, so currently, if we held an election today, on average, you'd be looking at 171 Conservatives, 125 Liberals, 14 NDP, 31 Bloc, and 2 Green. Gotta love the Green Party. They always manage to get them 2 seats. So that's not too shabby at all. So we're getting close. We are getting close. So pretty soon we will have what is it, the 10th, I think. So yeah, the 10th, and we'll finally have a new prime minister, a new party leader, and hopefully pretty soon after that we'll get a new election, because I think everybody wants an election at this point. So hopefully you guys are all on board for a new election. King of Day says, just finished listening to the book Nuclear War. Scary stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think I have to argue that we don't want that. So that would be yeah. Let's see. The best of fools says, as long as there is money for Trump to make, World War III won't happen. Nice. Yeah, there we go. Let's hope the money doesn't run out, though. Let's see. And Prairie says the leadership debate was a gong show. Well, I don't even know if I'd call it a gong show. I'd call it a bore fest. It really wasn't that exciting. It wasn't exciting at all. Wayne says, U.S. farmers are furious about possible tariff on potash. Canada is the world's largest source. They will need massive subsidies to offset higher costs. The cost of food will spiral higher. Yeah. So it won't just be eggs that you can't have. Eggs and potatoes off the table. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think once Trump realizes it's a really bad idea, hopefully he'll back off or find some way to create a fake win. But yeah, I mean, what Wayne is saying here is a beautiful example of some of the unintended consequences that I don't think he's thinking about. It. And Rory says, so much for Idaho potatoes. Yeah, exactly. AA says, just my personal opinion, I think Carney will be worse than Trudeau. As for the election, I don't want to live to see another 4 years of Liberals rule. Okay, fair enough. I mean, and I still think now that Polyev has gotten his messaging on course, he's gotten off of the carbon tax and moved towards the Trump, I think we're still going to get a conservative majority. It won't be as big as we thought we would. You know, if Trudeau had stayed in, it would have been an absolutely massive majority. But you know, it'll still be a majority. They'll still be able to get stuff done. We're not going to be in that whole minority situation again, where you have to make deal after deal and all of that fun stuff. So I do think we're going to see. I think we're going to see. We'll definitely see a majority. But at this point, I just want to see it happen. Now, Here's the good news, though, with this is that when you look at some of the polls, and some of the polls, now the poll numbers I gave you, that's actually from the CBC poll tracker. And the reason I use the CBC is because the poll tracker that they use takes an average across all of the major ones. So you're getting an average of all the polls. And for me, an average of all the polls is probably more accurate than any one particular poll, because you'll get some polls that lean right, some that lean left, depending on where they actually poll. So there's some polls out there that actually show the liberals in liberal minority territory. And I'm like, what? there are some that do that. So, that's one of the reasons I like that one. So, yeah, I'll update the poll. I think I'll see if I can get some fresh data every week as we move ahead forward. But what is nice, and this is kind of the point I was about to make, is if the liberals are starting to feel, oh, look at this, we have a chance to get a minority back. They might call an election early while they have momentum. While they have momentum, they might do that. So we'll have to see how this is all going to unravel. So, next week when we're doing this, we'll be one day out from that leadership convention, and we can make a lot more. We'll speculate. We'll have a speculation party here next week as to whether we'll get that election or not. Michael says, let's see, Pfizer, the best with earnings getting better each quarter. That PE was 39 to drop to 18. The company had new drugs, FDA approved in the last part. And so you have 2024 and a few already this year with a dividend of 4.3. Nice. And I know that you're a huge fan of Pfizer. So, and I like Pfizer on the long term for sure. Let's see. Your damn it says Trump said that Zelensky didn't have the C and overplayed his hands or the cards. Yeah. I saw it the other way around, and I won't be surprised to see more and more leaders stand up to him publicly. Yeah. That's the thing. If you actually saw, what is his name? Maroni or Marone, the French guy. He was correcting Donald, but Donald seemed to be okay with him because I think Donald just really liked his accent. So, he was able to say, oh no, actually it's this way. Or, we gave that to Ukraine. No, it's not a loan. I can't do a French accent. So, all right. A Zozo trader says, hi, the U.S. complains about spending money on defense, but it is American companies that get that spending, and the workers have jobs because of that spending, and they pay taxes back to the U.S. government. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a thing. Now, one of the problems with Canada is when it comes to boosting our GDP, there are some issues, and we're going to talk. We actually have a story on that a little bit later. But we're going to talk about that. Like sometimes you have to have, let's just say this, you can't go buying new equipment if you don't have enough soldiers to use your current equipment. We'll put that there and think about that. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Michael said, with all of the data that Friday SATA does show, markets are in the early stage of a recession. So yes, the economy in the U.S. is starting to take a little bit of a hit. And, there have been some big drops in GDP coming for the U.S. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And, I think Donald has said, there's going to be a lot of pain between him and Doge and everything. But dear gosh, it could be very, very interesting. I think the U.S., here's the thing. Before all of this happened, so before we realized how drastic this second term, or this, I guess we'll call it a second term, even though it's non-consecutive, but the second coming of Donald, if we didn't realize how bad it was going to be, the economy of the United States was so strong that I didn't think there was a chance that they could see a recession. But some of the data that's starting to come out, and it's not off the table now. It is not off the table. There could very well, especially once the tariffs actually start hitting, once some of the jobs, because the tariffs are going to cost jobs. And once that happens, it could be very, very, very interesting. All right. King of Day says, I am so conflicted. I still don't know which party to support. I am liberal at heart, but finding it difficult to support them currently. Yeah, no, understandable. That is one of the things, right? Like, how do you, like, here's the thing, like, politically, I'm very centralist. I like the center. I love it. I'm usually a little bit on the right side of center, but I have in previous elections, I have supported every party because I like to look at the parties. I like to look at their platforms, and quite literally, whoever has the platform I agree with the most, I will tend to vote that way. So I have not yet committed to any party for this next election until I see the platforms. Then I'll make up my mind. But I have supported, like I voted conservative, I voted liberal, I've even voted the NDP once. But that was more of a I don't know. That was almost a strategic vote. So yeah, we'll have fun. We'll definitely look at it through the way. All right, and guys, we got our first super sticker of the month coming here from Zuzu Trader. That means swag meter hits 1, and Zuzu Trader is our they're our goat. They are the goat, the greatest of all time. There we go. Awesomeness. I love it. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Zozo Trader. You rock. All right. Whoops. We're gonna get back to you in a second, JJ. Bismarcky says G7 in Canada. We need to ban Trump the felon from attending in person. Interesting. Interesting. I don't. I just don't know if that would go over well, but maybe you could try. All right, JJ says, I find most of the policies supported by the common sense conservatives make the most sense to support in the next election. Yeah, and they probably will. They probably will. But like I said, I haven't seen the platforms for the other two parties, but right now, yeah, I'm leaning in that direction from from the data I have. Like if I had to vote tomorrow, yeah, probably would. But I need to see my platforms. I need to see the platforms for sure. All right. And Tom says, yes, the potential incoming recession in the US only bolsters my resolve for CNQ stock. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. I really, really, really like CNQ. Here, CNQ, have some coffee on me. All right, and JJ says, I don't fall with one particular party, modern centralist at heart. Great. You're not far from where I am then. But looking at the policies, the vast majority of the PC party resonate best with me. Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is what I wish everybody would do this. What JJ is sort of saying here is that look at your platforms and whichever one does resonate with you, that's where you probably should vote. That to me, that makes a lot of sense. Missy says Trump just announced Bitcoin, XRP, Sol, and Cardano. Wow, crypto up 30%. Yeah, it's doing good. It's doing good right now. Actually, let's see here. Bitcoin is currently up 9.43%. Ethereum's up 14.09%. So yeah, that's part of the U.S. Strategic Crypto Reserve. So XRP, Cardano, Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Those will all be in it, at least to start. So yeah, that's pretty big. And obviously, this is gonna it's gonna be great. Wait till you see tomorrow. I have a feeling we could even get a big jump at opening as people who are excited about it say, I got to get back into my spot Bitcoin ETFs. That could be really, really interesting. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Terry says, I simply hope Donald Trump lives out his whole term so we don't got to go out and buy a replacement. Yeah. It's and I actually said this to Jill the other day that I'm like, I hope he survives this through his term because I don't know if I want JD Vance running things. Um, and it kind of goes like there was an interview with Donald, and they asked him. They said, "What is JD Vance ready to run the next election or the next term?" And he said no. He said no, he's not ready. I would agree. I agree. I think whatever happens is whoever the next two candidates are. So 2028. Um, I think it should just be two completely new people. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see two new people. I don't want to see JD running. I don't want to see. I don't want to see Donald Trump Jr. running either. Just get us two new people, please. Missy says JD scares me. Yeah. And Terry says buy a replacement. There we go. There we go. Oh boy. Oh boy. What can I say? All right. We have some more news about 7-Eleven. So, as you guys know, we've been following that whole the whole 7 and I Holdings and Alimentation Couche-Tard as they want to purchase 7-Eleven. So, the management team behind 7 and I Holdings have been trying to prevent it, and they basically they're the Ido family. They tried to secure some financing so that they could buy it themselves to keep ATD from touching it. Well, they were not able to secure financing for the 58, and it was a $58 billion management buyout. They were not able to get their money together. So as a result, now the board is saying that they are going to consider a rival offer from, of course, Alimentation Couche-Tard. So we have to see how that's going to go. Now, Couche-Tard reiterated that it is still committed to reaching a mutually agreeable transaction with 7-I. Pretty cool. So they had initially they offered $38.5 billion, but then that was rejected. They did raise it up to 47 billion. We'll have to see. Like maybe they'll have to go up to 58 billion. Not sure how that's going to go, but if this takeover happens, which we anticipate now that it very well could, Couche-Tard they're already one of our biggest, most valuable retailers in the country. They would immediately go from being a really big deal to being crowned the world's biggest convenience store operator. So they would be taking ownership of over 100,000 locations worldwide. So this is huge. Now, and I'm always telling you guys this, if this happens, to pay for this, they are going to dilute shares. They have already said they're going to dilute shares. So if you are holding Alimentation Couche-Tard, you might want to just keep that in mind. Like I think long term, this will be fantastic for the company. There'll be a huge buy, and this is kind of my strategy with this. Is like when this first looked like it was going to go through, I moved out of my position because heck, if they dilute the shares, then your share price goes down. Simple as that. That's what happens. So I got out, and if this happens, and I kind of hope it does, once they have diluted shares and that price is sunk a little bit, then I'm going to start dollar cost averaging in, and because I think long term it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for them, and they will obviously recover. Now, if you hold them and you don't sell, and you're like, oh, I'll just wait it out anyway, fine. You'll have the opportunity to average down as it's happening, but it could be very good for them on the long term. So if you're investing horizon is very long term, yeah, you're going to be fine. You're going to absolutely be fine. Terry says JD's eyeshadow is frightening. Yeah, he's definitely a character for sure. And then AA says means ATD stock set to go down again. So yes, that if this goes through, and they do share dilution, yeah, they will go down. I mean, it's just that there is just very simple math. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. So if you're holding them and the price starts going down, you'll know why, because of that dilution. Now, mind you, we have to see what the timeline on this. Like, even if all of the agreement comes through, they may not have to pay up for a while. So if they don't have, let's say they don't have to pay up and for, a year, 2 years, or maybe there's regulatory hurdles they have to get through, we may not see the price drop right away, but it will drop before this is said and done. So just something to keep in mind. Now, mind you, some of the excitement over it might actually drive the price up initially. So there is that as well, but it's going to be interesting. It will definitely be interesting. All right. We're slowly getting there. We're slowly getting there through the news. So Keystone Pipeline. How long has it been since you've heard about these guys? So Trump has requested that the companies responsible for the Keystone XL pipeline, that they should get it back on track, get it going again. Get the boys back together, get the pipeline up and running. Now the line itself, it was a thing for a while, but it was shut down, of course, by Biden over some of the environmental concerns. This was going to be a huge pipeline. Now we're talking multi-billion-dollar, basically a multi-billion-dollar deal. 1,200 miles. That's a pretty long one, and it was meant to carry basically Canadian oil sands crude to Nebraska. Now, tell me, guys, Donald Trump says we don't need Canadian oil, but we want this pipeline to get the oil from the oil sands down to Nebraska. Which is it? Do you want the Canadian oil or do you not? So interesting. I mean, everybody knows, even Donald knows that they need the Canadian oil. So, but unfortunately though, guys, the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline, is not going to come back. It is off the table. So South Bow Corp, they're the oil pipeline. They basically, excuse me, let me start that over again. So South Bow Corp, they of course are the spinoff from TC Energy. They were responsible for the Keystone XL, and they have indicated that they have no interest in reviving it whatsoever. They said that parts of that system, which runs through Alberta, Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska, have already been dismantled. So everything's been taken apart. Or have any of the permits either. All of the permits for it have expired. So it would basically be going back to scratch. And they're like, nope, we don't want to do it. So the Keystone Pipeline XL, it's not going to live again, despite the fact that Donald Trump would like to see it. So it's done. It's done. It's cooked. It's over. Nothing we can do about it. All right. Rory says, starting from Hardisty, Alberta. Is that how you say that? Hardisty. It's funny. I lived in Calgary. I never actually heard of Hardisty, but there's a lot of small, interesting towns in Alberta. That's for sure. So yeah, it is done. It's done. It's over. It's gone. What can I say? All right, and we have ourselves our military story. I did mention that this was coming. So apparently right now, the Canadian forces, we are down 13,600 members. So we have a pretty big shortage. So as a result, the Canadian forces has decided that they're going to loosen their requirements for recruitment. So they have found 3 conditions that used to basically, if you had one of these 3 conditions, you were instantly disqualified from getting into the military. But they're now saying, nope, you can join whether you have any one of these conditions. And those conditions are ADHD, anxiety, and asthma. So now if you have ADHD, anxiety, and asthma, you can join. You might even be allowed to have all 3 at the same time. I'm thinking, yeah, you might. So yeah, you are now eligible. Now the old rules. So the reason that these 3 were actually preventing you from joining the military is that they were using a one rule to color everybody standard. So basically, if you were in a let's say you were a fighter jet and you're flying, you can't be you can't be a fighter jet pilot if you have ADHD, anxiety, or asthma. Okay, yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. You can't be in the middle of a high speed aerial jet fighting dogfight, and all of a sudden you need your puffer. Yeah, that makes sense. But here's the thing: if you're going into the military not to be a jet fighter, but you're looking at something more clerical, like maybe you're an accountant or or something like that, asthma's not going to be a problem, or ADHD or anxiety. So that's the thing. They are saying we're going to sort of stop doing that. Like, yeah, if you want to be a jet fighter, you got one of those three conditions. Not going to let you be a jet fighter, but hey, here's some paper that you can stamp. That's kind of neat. So that's what they're going to be doing. So basically, and part of the reason, of course, is one, it makes sense to not color everybody with that same brush. And the other one is we do need to get these people in. We need to start getting more members, especially if we want to start hitting our NATO commitments. So last year, the defense minister, Bill Blair, he said that the military's recruitment was in a death spiral, noting that over the last 3 years, more people have left the military than have joined. So we're not even keeping our numbers constant. We're losing people overall. Now, a recent report also found that because of personnel and equipment shortages, only 58% of Canadian troops could be deployed to respond to a potential crisis if needed. So our military is in really rough shape. So that's something to keep in mind. So we need new equipment, yes. We need more advanced equipment, yes. But more importantly, we need the bodies. So, but here's the thing though, if you think about it, with the tariffs, with the trade war, with all of this stuff, if all of a sudden we start getting a huge spike in unemployment, especially in younger people, and you got the military there saying we got jobs, that could be really interesting. And I did see something too that's not in this art. It was not in this story, but I did see that there has been a slight uptick in recruitment because of what's going on with the trade war. There have been some people saying, look, if the US is planning to invade us or something down the road, if this doesn't go right, we're gonna, let's join the military. Let's just take care of it that way. All right. So yeah, guys, that's the news. We do got a couple small little things here just to knock out. So coming up next week on our Canadian calendar, we got jobs data. So we'll find out how our unemployment rate is doing. That's coming out on Friday. Also in the US, we also have their jobs data dropping on Friday as well. Earnings-wise, up here in Canada, Vic will love this. We have Constellation Software, and we've been talking about CNQ. We got some CNQ earnings dropping, and we also got Southbow. In the US, we got Broadcom, Costco, and CrowdStrike as a couple of big ones. Now, keep in mind, we do have the Bank of Canada rate decision coming up the week after next, so March 12th. That one I think is going to, I don't think it's going to change at all. I think it's going to be, a pause. I think nothing's going to change on that one. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how things go. All right. And we already did, of course, the crypto stuff. So I'll bring back the March Madness for 1 second because, hey, that's the theme. That's the theme. All right. Let's put everything back to normal now. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Now it's all you guys. It's all you guys. It's whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what we're going to do. This is going to be fantastic. All right. We'll start here with Michael. The U.S. is pumping more and more each year, and we have plenty of oil, but we do use oil to make so many items, which almost all products does have oil in it. Okay, Michael, you're right and you're wrong at the same time. Let me explain. The United States pumps a lot of oil, a lot, but and here's the key part. the oil that they are producing, most of it is done by fracking. So fracking, basically, that's you shoot water down into the shale in between the layers to loosen up and pull out the oil. As a result, what the US is actually pumping is light crude. Now, light crude is great. It's very expensive oil. But here's the problem. The American refineries, they are mostly, not all, but most of them are geared towards heavy crude. And the US is not producing the heavy crude. Guess who is? Canada. Canada produces mostly heavy crude. That's all that stuff coming out of the oil sands. So Canada doesn't have, we really don't have our own refineries. We don't have the capacity to refine all of it. So we give the US a really good deal. So in fact, a barrel of our heavy crude that the US needs, they're buying that from us for less than what they're selling a barrel of their light crude to, the world market. So the US is selling most of the oil that they're pumping for a lot of money. And then part of that money is pulling that oil demand down from Canada that they do need, that their refineries are able to process and make, of course, those plastics that you were mentioning and other products as well. So yeah, that's kind of that situation. So let's say, this isn't going to happen, but let's just say Canada's shut the door. Just poof, no more oil for you, United States. The US would be in trouble. They would have to, of course, get their heavy crude from somewhere else. So one other place would be Venezuela. So that would be interesting. And maybe Venezuela could meet all of the US needs, but that would be the situation that they would have. And they're not going to do that. That's one of the reasons why the tariffs on the Canadian energy is a lot lower. And it's not just oil. You guys also know that we provide 25% of their uranium needs. There's a lot of different minerals because energy does cover everything, even like lithium and the critical elements as well. So yeah, they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot with that. So they do need all of that. And when it comes to oil right now, the US, they've got a really sweet deal with Canada. It really is. Despite what Trump will say, it's a really sweet deal because, as I said, they're getting our oil at a discount because we don't have the capacity to refine it all ourselves. That's why we need to start increasing our capacity. And that would change the game a bit. And that would probably, in the long run, mean that the US would pay a bit more for that oil too. So just something to keep in mind. Rory says, so the Canadian military can use all those Saskatchewan gophers. Oh yes, and the prairies. Yeah, if you've never been to the prairies, they got all these gophers, prairie dogs, whatever we want to call them, and they're popping up all over the place. It's actually kind of neat. That was one of the things I remember when I first moved to Calgary. All of these little prairie dogs popping up out of holes here and there. I just found it so interesting because nothing like that in Nova Scotia. All right, Michael says, I noticed on last Friday and Monday week with QQQ down 400 points on Friday that the food and drug sectors were up when the rest was down. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I really haven't paid too much attention, but I know that right now the tech sector is a little bit down. And there's a lot of people saying, oh my God, the AI bubble is breaking and it's horrible. I'm not there yet. I still have a lot of faith in tech, and I still think AI has a lot of room to run. So I don't think we're yet at that point. I think people are panicking. And when people panic, tech sometimes takes the brunt of it, like this bubble's breaking, that bubble's breaking. The entire market's a bubble, and that's breaking. Now, keep in mind, though, with that being said, that I don't think that that's what's happening. There is a bigger concern, and that is, of course, with the tariffs. As those tariffs start hitting and reciprocal tariffs start hitting and tariffs start going both ways, as Trump starts doing it to everybody, because, it's not just Canada, it's not just Mexico, it's not just China. He's talking about the EU next. There's going to be pain. It's going to hurt everyone. It's going to hurt the market. So there will be, we could very well get pushed into a bear market, but nonetheless, within a bear market, we will still probably have some interesting stuff happening in tech that I feel confident about. All right. Wayne says the Canadian military is short 33,000, according to my son-in-law, who is still in. There we go. So that's probably it's probably a more realistic number. But yeah, I mean, we need soldiers. We need soldiers, definitely, and not just soldiers. I mean, keep in mind, you go into the military, doesn't they need everything else too, right? The military needs accountants. The military needs a linesman. Like my stepdad was in the military, and that's what he used to do. He basically was a glorified telephone pole guy. He just climbed poles and ran wires. That's all he did. So you don't have to be a soldier to be in the military. There's a lot of things that you could do in the military. AMC says, applied in Quest Trade yesterday. Got so confused. I applied twice. Now I have 2 pending accounts. Hope it won't take 2 weeks. Oh, God. Yeah. That's an interesting thing too. Like with Wealthsimple, when you sign up, you get all your 3 base accounts right away. And with Questrade, it's like you sign up for one account and then you have to sign up for another account. And it looks to me like you have to do the whole thing for each account that you sign up for. So for your TFSA, your RRSP, and each other account, your cash account. So yeah, gotta say, it's interesting. King of Day says, gotta run. Thank you, Candace. Fun times as always. Happy investing, everyone. Good. Absolutely. Have yourself a fantastic day, King of Day. Prairie says, Trump axed Chevron's Venezuela oil license last week. There we go. So obviously then he can't, he's got to keep his eye. He's got to keep the Canadian oil coming. He's got to keep it coming. Jersky says, why did NVIDIA go down? The earnings looked pretty good. Yeah, there's just, the problem is, and I've noticed this with NVIDIA investors, they don't want you to, they want you to exceed expectations, but their expectations are higher than the analysts' expectations. Let's just put it that way. They don't want to see you just, they don't want to see you just beat expectations. They want to see you do something crazy. They want to see you absolutely crush expectations. And I find in the last few earnings reports that even by beating expectations, it hasn't been enough. So, people are getting, at least the NVIDIA, I think they got spoiled because NVIDIA had that one giant period of time where they were absolutely demolishing their expectations. And because they're not doing that now, the investors are like, oh yeah, well, they beat expectations, but come on. You remember the days when they used to demolish them? Oh, so that's creating that bit of uncertainty in the market. So with NVIDIA, dear. Michael says, what do you think on HLF since they paid off $250 million in debt in 2024? For 5 funds ever bought shares under $6, which reserve was a big boot, which insiders bought from 711 to 1065. Okay, well, let's take a look at FLF. Whoops, there's my map. All right, FLF. There we go. Or sorry, HLF. Here we go. So highliners once again. Every time I hear highliners, I always think, have you ever been to see Billy? If you remember, any of you old enough who remember those old commercials, always fun. So yeah, let's pull up. Let's attempt to pull up some data here. Why am I not getting any data? I'm not getting any data. I'm going to come in here again. That's why. Sometimes, no, that's Herbalife. HLF US. Oh, well, maybe that's who we were looking at. I was looking at Highliner's Food. Oh, yeah, Highliner's, that's the Canadian. You're actually looking at the other one. I got all excited when I saw Highliner. I'm like, so you're looking at Herbalife. All right. I got it. All right. So yeah, here's your little big jump as you were mentioning. So interesting. Let's come back out. I want to back out a little bit, but they've been on a pretty big downward trend though. That is always to me worrying. Like when you start seeing things like this and you go there's your highs, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, lower high, lower high, and this is also a lower high. So that to me, it worries me a little bit. It does worry me a little bit. Obviously, though, this doesn't necessarily mean that they have to go like that forever. And kind of curious here to see. Oh, I don't have a return on equity. I got a return on assets. That's not bad, 9.18. But yeah, Herbalife. Oh, sorry. Here we are. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, it helps if I'm all right. Let's go back here for a second. We'll go back to the overview. This is kind of what I was looking at here. Is see, you got a trend. It's a downtrend because you've got lower highs right here. It's one of these things where I'm just now. You could argue that if you argued that that's a high, and then you could say, oh well, look at this. This is now a higher high, but I would need to see much more than this. Right now, I just don't have a lot of faith in them. But you know, this is just from going from their basic fundamentals. So definitely something that you might want to take a look at. Wasn't Herbalife a pyramid scheme? That I don't know. I really don't know. But why not? Let's Google it. Let's see what we get. I'm just kind of curious right now. Herbalife. I'll just put scheme. I'm just kind of curious. Oh, look at this. There's a whole bunch on their pyramid scheme. Michael, this is never good. Let's just pull this up here. Can anyone clarify if these Herbalife nutrition things is a... here's one. How is Herbalife a pyramid scheme? Okay, well, this person's saying it's not, strictly speaking, a pyramid scam, but it's close. Okay, so they're built in that pyramid way without maybe being a scheme per se. Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Those type of things do make me worry a little bit. But let me see here. Can't you look at February 19th, its last earnings? Well, yeah, let me pull that up. Whoops. I need to actually add them to the list here. HLF. There we go. Let's see here. All right, I'm not seeing much here. Let me take a look here. Let's see here. Best growth stocks to buy for February. Best value stocks. Okay. Best momentum stocks. So there seems to be a lot of people that like them. Absolutely here. I don't actually want to see their news. Let's go to their earnings. So let's see here. February 20th, CEO shakeup, better four quarter earnings. I'm just going to come over here, but where is, oh, here it is. Oh, here it is down here. It was hidden by a candlestick. All right, here we go. So, okay, yeah, here are their earnings. So that's not bad. I mean, look at this. They came in much higher than their estimate. So 89.84% up. The revenue is up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, that is showing. I mean, and that's what we were seeing, right? Sorry, when we come back here, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that something, early February pulled things up. So they definitely have done good in their earnings. So, but I mean, it's a company that I don't know a lot about them. So I would have to, before I could ever get involved with them, I would be doing a whole bunch of due diligence on them. Kitten, go away. The kitten is being like, I want treats. No. Come here. Go away. Go away. I don't think she's gonna go. Let's see. That news is so old and the fundamentals mean more, and that was to prove a short. Let's see, seller is the one started that report on HLF. Okay, maybe, and that's fine. I'm just saying though that I would want to do more research on them before I could make any kind of a definitive. Now, their last earnings look good. Those look pretty good. And obviously, if you'd gotten in before those earnings, you would have experienced this nice little jump down here. So that's not too it's not too bad. Now, Bill saying 45 seconds into the analysis, and HLF makes my blacklist. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's, and that will happen, Michael. Sometimes, maybe sometimes people will come in and give some false information. But for me, I just don't know a lot about it. So I'll leave those guys alone for the moment. Prairie says currently close to 52-week low. Thoughts on open text? Oh boy. Yeah, see, I was very bullish on them last year. Now they have let me just pull, I'm going to pull up the full 3 years. They had been doing pretty good, but they are now pretty darn low, like right down here, like August of 2022 is the last time they were down here. So I still like them. I think they have a good product, but, and here's that thing, it's hard for me to have a lot of confidence in them at this point in time, with, of course, the stuff that's going on with the tariffs. I think that could have an impact. Sorry, I'm just trying to push the cat away. The cat is doing, the cat's going to continue to bug me, guys, unless, whoops, I guess turn it this way, unless she gets some treats. So I will give her some treats so that I can pay full attention to you guys and not so much the cat. There we go. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I still do like open text. I think long term, I think open text will be fine. But for now, they're kind of one of those companies that, I mean, dollar costing average into them right now is probably okay. Like, I think they'll be fine on the other end of, if we get a bear market, if we get a recession, I think they'll be fine on the other end. But for now, they're one of those companies I'm just a little bit hesitant towards. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see. Carl and the short seller was fighting over HLF, one being long and the other was short. Maybe. All right. Tom is in the house. Just joined in. Not sure if anyone pointed this out, but XRP has been spiking in the last 24 hours. So yes, I think actually, let me take a look. We haven't actually looked at XRP. We've looked at the other two. We've looked at Bitcoin and Ethereum, which, well, let's get to the back here. They've both been peaking, but let's take a look at XRP. Let's take a look and see how XRP is responding to the, here we go. XRP. All right, let's close out of here. Let's get down here. All right, XRP. Yeah, look at this. Exact same thing. We're seeing a nice big bump. So XRP, Cardano, Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum are, of course, all named as coins that would be in the U.S. strategic reserve, crypto reserve. So yeah, they're all responding really, really well. So look at XRP. Now look at this. Now this is even better. They're up. Look at this, 31.60%. So yeah, if you're holding XRP, you are very, very happy. Whereas if you look over here, Ethereum's only up 13.49, Bitcoin 9.48. And you know what? Let's go over here. We can see all of the big ones that have been named. So here you go. Here's your Bitcoin, 9.48. Ethereum, 13.51. There's XRP, 31.66. Solana was named, so 22.02. And Cardano, 59.62%. Holy banana bread. Interestingly enough, though, Doge is still up 14.37%. So, there's some people still excited about Doge, but yeah, this is pretty big. Yeah, that's not too shabby. And keep in mind, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum, because of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we could see another big pump in the morning when the market's open. As people start getting, maybe people who are a little excited start adding a few more of those ETFs. So we'll have to see how that rolls out. But yeah, this is fantastic. This is fantastic if you are a crypto person. A software update. No, don't do a software update. Not when I'm streaming. Not when I'm streaming. I think it was actually saying it wanted to do it tonight, but if I say yes, then I have to enter in passwords, and it's a big mess. It's a big mess. But nonetheless, we got ourselves some nice little movement here on crypto in general. Now somebody was asking me about Pi the other day. Well, they're not doing well today. Look at them. They're down 14.25%. So Pi Network is not having a good day, unlike our U.S. crypto reserve assets. They're having a pretty good day. Nice. Yeah. So what can I say? What can I say? Oh, before we get towards the end game in the chat, I do want to point out the subscriber sponsored video is still up for grabs if that's something one of you want. Basically $20 super. And you tell me who you want me to deep dive, or if you want a list video, whatever it is you want, throw it in that. We will still do that. I'm going to close that though at the end of this this stream. So anyway, it's there for the taking if somebody wants it. I just like to. I still like it only because it's not even about the super really. It's basically gives you just a chance to get that one company that for whatever reason I just never do. And sometimes that happens. So what can I say? All right. Guys, we've been here about an hour, 36 minutes. So if you guys got your last minute questions, and doesn't mean we're leaving. Doesn't mean we're leaving. I usually will give this call in many times, especially on the weekend one. We end up going like another hour, but that gives me a chance to have some coffee while you guys compose your questions. All of that fun stuff. Oh, that's good. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but now that I gave the kitten some treats, or the kitten, she's a cat now. She's 1 year old. She's over there just purring away, laying on the high hide. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I'll show you. I'll show you. All right, let's remove this. All right, we're gonna. All right, we're coming. We're coming up like this. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Hey. Psst, psst, psst. Winter. All right, and she's kneading the thing. So anyway, all right. All right, there we go. Hopefully nobody got any motion stuff from that. There we go. Turn it right back to right there. There we go. Anyway, that's what she was doing. That's what she was doing. Your Damn says, what are your thoughts on Maple Leaf Foods? Oh, Maple Leaf Foods. I do like Maple Leaf Foods. They've had they haven't had any issues lately, so that's a good thing. But let's pull up Maple Leaf Foods here. MFI, here we go. All right, I'm going to pull up the 3-year on them. So they've had a little bit of this is another one, kind of like Michael's company, HLF. You can sort of see we've kind of got that downward trend at the moment. So we got lower highs, although just like, you could almost say that's still technically a slightly lower high. But let's go in here and take a look here. So, all right, return on equity, it's a little low, 6.33. Debt, they got a lot of debt. So looking at 122% of debt, because that's their debt to equity ratio, 122%. So for every dollar that they have in equity, they owe $1.22 to a creditor, to a lender. So never like to see debt that high, but here's the thing. One of the interesting things about a company like this is that I don't know how much they export to the US. That's one thing I don't know. Obviously, if they're exporting to the US, they're going to take a hit. Now, if they're not exporting to the US, then they could actually benefit. They could benefit from the tariffs, as all of a sudden US options become more expensive. Canadian options become less expensive as a result. So that is one thing. Now, you know what? We can ask. Let's ask. Why not? All right. Let's see. Does Maple Leaf Foods export to the U.S.? Because I honestly do not know. Let's see. Uh-oh, they do. They do. So they export to 20 global markets, so including Japan, the USA, and Asia. It depends on how big a part of their business that is, but yeah, they do export, so they will have some hit from that. But anyway, the debt a little high, could be some impact to the tariffs. So I'd be cautious. I would be cautious. Yeah, just for that reason, absolutely. Oh, what a sweetie. Yeah. Oh, she's a great cat. She's a great cat. She's a she's kind of a bully though. Like she bullies the other cats a little bit, and she's got her things. All right. Jennifer says, my question is, what stocks are going to survive a recession? Great question. I love it. I love it. So one of the things, the best way to sort of visualize this is you need to ask a question. Are there products? Is a company's product still in demand when people can't afford stuff? So, for example, during a recession, people still eat. So, as a result, your food chains. So, like your Loblaws, your Metro, George Weston, they're all going to be fine because people still need to eat. The railroads, they'll be fine because we still need a backbone. We still need supply chains. We still need to move stuff around. So those are all going to be fine. Utilities. Now, utilities is one of those ones that are usually really good. People still need power. Just because we go into a recession, people aren't going to start using candles all of a sudden, So yeah, that's the question to ask. So when it comes to recessions, some of my favorite right now is, and this is going to be a different recession too, Jennifer, because not only are we looking at a recession / bear market, perhaps we're looking at the tariffs at the same time. So when you start to look at a company like, let's say, the railroads, they don't export, but they move the stuff that other people that the companies are exporting. So if all of a sudden the tariffs mean less demand in the United States for Canadian goods, well, CP, CNR, they may not have as much stuff to transport, but they will still have plenty of stuff. And in a way, you might also look at they'll both have tons of transporting across Canada, from Canada to Canada, and they'll also have lots of transporting from US to US. So they will have a little bit of all of that. So they're going to take a small hit, but it won't be that bad. So the railroads, I think, are fine. So CN, CP, fine. The food stores, fine. Stores like Dollarama, fine. Your utility companies, fine. And here, oh, let's do this. Algonquin has actually been they've actually been moving up lately. So they've slowly started moving up here. And I know a few people are like, oh my God, they're finally fixed. Algonquin, I'm always a little leery. I'm always a little leery of Algonquin. But when you look at a bigger company, like let's take a look at Fortis. I love Fortis. They're based out of St. John's, Newfoundland. But they're a fantastic company. Now, I'm going to come back to the 1 year, and you can start to see utilities love two things. They love low rates, and they're getting that. And they also love pretty much any kind of environmental thing, as long as you're not in a situation where you have aggressive rate hikes. So when rates are going up, utilities tend to fall, but they do love that. And they also have a lot of the market that utilities have are regulated, meaning that it doesn't matter what the economy's doing. They've got a steady source of income because of that. So that's the neat thing. Like you take Fortis. Now Fortis, they do operate in the US, but it's not like they're selling Canadian energy to the US. They're basically, they're using the local energy and selling it to consumers. So they will have a steady flow of income from their U.S. operations, from their Canadian operations. So that's not going to really get that impacted by tariffs. So yeah, this is a company I love, and I noticed up there, Rory's talking about CU. So CU, Canadian Utilities, you're going to see pretty much a similar situation here. Like, let's take a look here. We'll go to the 1 year. You can see right here. These were the beginnings of the rate cuts. They're moving a little bit sideways right now. So, but that's still fine. They're going to be fine. Both CU, so Canadian Utilities, and Fortis, the last one we were looking at, they're both what's called dividend kings. So what a dividend king is if you raise your dividend for 50 consecutive years, then you get that title, dividend king. If you do it for 5 years, you become a dividend aristocrat. But when it comes to length of time, so actually most of our banks are dividend aristocrats, except for Bank of Nova Scotia, because they have now foregone increasing their dividend because they're concentrating on some of their growth. So they have lost that title. But the banks are in a very interesting place as well. Normally, I would say, yeah, people still need banks, but the banks right now have two outside stressors. So obviously, the first is that renewal wave of people who are had the really crazy low rates. Now, what's really bad about this year? So that wave began last year, but the people who are renewing the rates last year, they already had a little bit higher rates than they didn't have the bottom pandemic rates. So the bottom, so people who had less than 3% and less than 2% rates, those are the people who will be renewing this year. So they're going to get hit with so the banks will be hit with all of the worst part of their renewal wave. Now they put away a lot of money for it, but it's still coming. In addition to that, they're also going to get hit from the economic turmoils and eddies that are created by the tariffs. So they got a double whammy this year. So for that simple reason, that with banks, I would almost say an ETF is your best way to go right now, because some of the banks will probably weather them fine, and some of them, if they underguessed how much loan losses they're going to have, it might hurt their bottom line a little bit. They'll all be fine on the other side, but just something to keep in mind. All right. Michael says, most to all stocks will survive, but the question is, how long will they go? But people will still eat and take the drugs. Yeah, exactly. And Lisa says, Metro has been on a tear. I picked up some under $70. Nice. And here we go. So Rory was talking about CU and ATCO. ATCO actually owns Canadian Utilities, so kind of neat. Michael says, I think buying HRL at 28 could work, which missed by 2 pennies, but Spam is the most favorite food that people eat. Every time I hear Spam, I think of the Monty Python song. Terry says, hey, Chief, if you are considering doing a show on the 3 trucking firms, maybe wait till March 25th or so that Mullen and Tio, okay, because then they're fourth quarters. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I have been mulling it over. As you know. So yeah, remind me as we get closer, just in case I forget, because I do think that's a good topic. Mag T says, sorry, should have explained why Litecoin might become a poor man's Bitcoin. Litecoin and Bitcoin share important similarities. Both have a finite supply. Litecoin also has a halving every 4 years. Yeah, well, I thought that Litecoin was a sort of a, what is it, a spin-off, like a spin-off of Bitcoin. I thought it would sort of, duplicated their chain technology. So that makes sense. It does make sense to me. Let's see. CSX at a dip at 31.55. Area could work, but also miss and have gone reasons and have gave reasons as a railroad. Yeah. Actually, my favorite American railroad, by the way, Union Pacific. There we go. Where are you? There we are. Union Pacific. So this here is a railroad that I do like in the States. And you can sort of see, they've had the time of it. Now, Union Pacific, they did have, like, a lot of the railroads in the States had a lot of labor issues through the last few years and so, but I do like Union Pacific. They are one of the biggest railroads. Like Union Pacific and CNR, they're both very comparable in size, but both massive, both very, very massive. Terry says, mulling it. There we go. The Onion Pacific. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. Oh, dear God, how did I not? I thought I was. It's because of the cat. It's the cat's fault. I showed the cat. That's why. Oh, all right. Yeah. So this here, by the way, is Union Pacific. As I said, it's sort of moving sideways. I think I probably showed a couple things now since then that let's yeah. Just going back to Fortis. I think I showed Fortis. I think that we lost that one too. I'm just going back because I know you guys missed it. Yeah, and this is Fortis. Fortis has just been doing fantastic. So, and very similar with Canadian Utilities, although Fortis is a little bit more impressive for sure. All right. Thank you, Jonathan, for letting me know. Got to share that screen more often. Michael says, I bought Pfeiffer to get 43, which did lots FDA approval, and this year a few. And yeah, exactly. Well, let's go. Let's actually take a look here. PFE. Actually, I did do a deep dive on them a while back. But yeah, look, I'm liking this nice little bump here. I'm going to go to the 5-year because they were doing fantastic until the bear market. So this is where the bear market began. And they just never really, they never really got out of that role. They just sort of continued. By this point here, we were already well into a bull market. They just didn't. They had a little bit of a recovery, but there's been a lot of uncertainty around drugs and things, and with all of the changes happening in the States at the same time. But I still love this company. They have done a lot. There's been so many, and this is not even about the pandemic. Before the pandemic, they have done a lot of innovations, and I think they'll be fine in the long term. But there could be pain. There could be still a good amount of pain in front of them before we get anything big. All right. Let's see, Onion Specific. Oh, and here was Jonathan letting me know that I wasn't sharing the screen. PE going down, a great sign. There we go. Go Rory. Go Rory. Yes, we'll have a Rory cheerathon. You know, Rory, he's the one. If he can't do it, no one can. I don't know. I'm just trying. Gotta love the coffee. Gotta love the coffee for sure. All right. Yeah, it's like I'm not there's a few things I can't do. I'm a terrible singer, and I also can't rap. So, yeah, those are just not in my wheelhouse, and I know it. That's always good to know what's not in your wheelhouse. Then you save yourself a lot of embarrassment. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe somewhere in the future, when we have one of these celebration videos, you guys will make me sing or something crazy like that. Oh God, that'd be scary. That would be absolutely scary for sure. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see as we get there. Coming up, guys, on Tuesday. Now the channel members will be able to see it one day early. They'll be able to see it tomorrow. We got our quarterly bank review. So that's going to drop tomorrow. To me, that's pretty darn exciting. I'm very much looking forward to that. So we got that. I'm not sure what I am going to be doing yet on Friday, because I was kind of leaving that open, because if somebody had taken the subscriber sponsored video, I probably would have put that in there, but I'll come up with something. I'll definitely come up with something here. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just doing something here. Here we go. Boom, bang. All right. So yeah, that's what's coming up on Friday. And all right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, guys. I think we're at the end. It has been another fantastic stream. You guys rock. You guys rock. I love doing these on Sunday afternoon. It's always a fun. I am going to see if I can find a clip out of this so that we can get that short thing going. I want to keep it going. I'm sure there'll be something interesting in there. Probably be a few different things. It might be like, which one do I pick? But yeah, we'll also be back live on Wednesday. So yeah, we'll know about the tariffs at that point. Do we have them? What are they? Well, we're probably going to have something. So that will be fun. All right, guys. Until then, I will bid you guys a fond farewell. And oops, I can't go away if I'm not big. There we go. I'll bid you guys a fond farewell. We'll see you guys on Wednesday live. This is going to be March. March is our crazy month. It's going to be a crazy month. But we're in it together. We're in it together for sure. All right. Until then, guys, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you soon.